So I know it's been a hot minute since I've talked about Overdress, but I feel now is a good time to just take a few minutes and talk about Mirai. Why? Because, well, the past few episodes have really just been based around establishing this character. And you know what? I think they've done a great job of establishing an antagonist. Not a villain, an antagonist. You see, in my opinion, a villain and an antagonist are two different things. For me, a villain is someone who ultimately is trying to hurt people or cause a problem or make things work specifically in their favor for malicious reasons. Now, as many people often say, in my opinion, too much these days, a good villain is often someone who believes they're the hero of their own story. This is true, but I feel like ultimately with a villain, it needs to boil down to that idea that they are hurting someone or causing a problem for their own sake. Whether they think that's a good thing or not is up to the story to then convey to us. An antagonist is simply just the opposing force to our protagonist. And what I mean by that is, you have very obvious examples. In, say, I don't know, a disaster movie, the antagonistic force is the disaster that's happening. I wouldn't call the tornadoes in Twister a villain, because it's a tornado. And this is a perfectly good example of that. What I'm saying is, Mirai is a giant spinning cyclone ready to destroy Oklahoma. No. But essentially, what I'm getting at here is Mirai is never portrayed as being evil. She's never malicious. She's never hateful. She's never out to really do a bad thing. This is a girl who has unfortunately lived a very hard life, and because of the decisions by people made around her, it's now resulted in a situation where she is opposing our protagonist. It's not because she's a bad person, or because she's unredeemable, or because she's whatever the fuck Void was back in the day. It's just because this is unfortunately how things have turned out, and our characters now have to figure out a way to deal with it. And I think these episodes have done it perfectly. So let's start off right with where we left off last time we talked. Mirai and Donji are hanging out because Donji is her driver, and she is very clearly seems to be falling for Donji. There are some very strange implications here. We'll get to that in a minute when it actually got brought up. But where we are in this episode, or the first of the 3 episodes, is she's perfectly fine with all his antics. She really enjoys the fact that this is the one person who treats her like a normal girl and wants to have fun and doesn't just follow the schedule and the itinerary and takes her out to enjoy herself. She's become very much dependent and reliant on the fact that Donji gives her these opportunities to just be a normal girl. So when we then come into collision with our other 3 characters who are directly going after her organization, we then naturally get some very interesting then scenes that follow up. Also very funny. You kind of know where that episode is going. Donji's going to do everything in his power to stop everything from being found out. So he's just kind of goofily trying to stop them. It's funny, it's obvious, but the character's likable, the actor does a good job, and it keeps everything running smoothly. But essentially where this ends up going is she reveals she's with Daybreak. They reveal they're with Blackout. She's like, Blackout is evil. They're like, no, Daybreak is evil, and we're taking them down. We're stabbing you, motherfuckers. We'll come for you. We don't care. But yeah, no. So essentially, they then decide to have a card fight to learn about each other. Megumi is not in this scene, but we do get naked Megumi, so I can appreciate that. Her and Yu have a card fight, and it's kind of here where you really just get a good idea of what's in Mirai's head. Literally, we see things from her perspective, which is the world is just black, and its only representation is sound. And at first, when the card fight starts, all the sound is just normal. She's just playing. She's just dealing with what's in front of her. But as the fight goes on, we start hearing just the noises get muffled. She starts mishearing things and misinterpreting things as just being everyone's against her. I really just like that shot of just the noise voice bar thing just going crazy as she is just letting all this negativity and her just fears and disbeliefs just completely consume her. And then when she gets mad enough, she then proceeds to take it out on Yu to the point where it doesn't really matter what anyone is saying or how anyone is then acting. As far as she's concerned, the whole world is against her, because all she sees in her head is just that big, crazy noise bar. And so then naturally she beats Yu, and she's all like, oh, I don't play that deck anymore. They don't tell you what she says, but I choose to believe she said, the deck's not very consistent. This one's better. Get better, scrub. But yeah, no. So then her and Donji leave, and while Megumi is not in the episode, I really do just like that shot of her just speechlessly watching as he walks by. She doesn't really know how to react to the situation, just as no one is. The situation is very complicated, and the show's never afraid to depict that. It's not simplified or boiled down to just good versus bad. These are very complex people in a very tough situation that's hard to find a good answer for. We then skip to the next episode, which is a direct continuation, where we see the other factor of why Mirai has become what she is, and that is she's sheltered to the point where she really can't function as a person. One complicated afternoon results in her just pouting and sitting around for a day. When Haruka comes into the room, she doesn't really do anything to help. She doesn't have encouraging words. She doesn't try and get Mirai's mind really off it. She's like, oh, just sit here and relax. That will fix everything. Here's some tea. This is meant to be a direct contrast to what happened in the first arc with Yu and Donji. When Yu had a problem, when he wasn't sure what to do, Donji tried to push him into dealing with it, directly handling the situation and trying to fix it. He wasn't trying to shelter him or hide him or just try and get him to downplay it. He wanted Yu to face his situations like an adult. I didn't say like a man because I'm trying to relate this to the problem relating to a girl. So then Mirai then proceeds to leave, and we start to notice something. The way she kind of walks, it looks almost kind of like toddler-esque. And this is, it's because she's blind, and this is how the writers and animators represent blindness, but I think there's a very interesting way to her body language in this episode. As this episode progresses and the situation gets more complicated, she starts almost sort of like regressing to this more childlike state, to the point when you're at the carnival, and it's fun watching everyone just kind of interact like it normally is in the show, but it kind of comes to a head when they're then at the shrine, and she finds out the truth, and you see the way she's reacting. It's not your standard mad or yelling or screaming. It's like how a small child throws a temper tantrum. She's yelling like a child. She's stomping her feet like a child. This is all intentional. The point of this whole thing is because everyone shelters her, because everyone either pities or tries to put her on a pedestal, because no one ever just treats her like a normal girl, it's resulted in the fact that she's very immature for her age, can't really handle or process emotions or serious issues. Oh yeah, also the thing with her kind of being in love with Donji for 5 minutes. When Haruka brought that up, it was just kind of like, this is weird. They're animating her in a way that shows she's attracted to her brother. I know she doesn't know he's her brother, and we spent a lot of time establishing Donji is very fucking handsome, but still, it's kind of weird. But yeah, no, so then when the episode ends and she would say a speech that feels like it should be written as an evil speech, she's like, give up on your friends, stay by my side forever, even if it kills you. This scene could be so mishandled and just be her being like, haha, I'm the bad guy now, but no. You always feel like, and the actress always plays it in a way that just feels like this is an angry child who's been lied to. I like the fact that lying has consequences in the show, a problem Vanguard has had in the past. Secrets were kept from her, and this is now how she's going to react, because what the fuck did you think would happen? She's mad at Haruka, she's mad at Donji, she's mad at the whole fucking world, and she's gonna take it out on Blackout, and she doesn't care how many problems she causes. This episode, this week's most recent one, was kind of the episode we really needed to top it all off. After establishing who Mirai is in the present and us understanding her as a person now, they then give us the backstory because we already have an appreciation and understanding for who she is. It's not reliant on it. When we see what her past was like, it is kind of a lot of what you expect, but getting that final puzzle piece from her caretaker being Haruka, it kind of puts it in the perspective of what's really going on here. No one is really evil. No one is really bad. This is just a complicated life situation, and everyone is just kind of deal with it the way they see fit. Now, unfortunately, that means they're dealing with it very poorly because, well, they don't really know how else to deal with it. And I think it's a really great scene, and it really sets up for what is going to be a really interesting arc and couple episodes to go as we go through this little castle tournament thing, which looks fun. Also, it was fun to see Megumi get a good win, bust out her grade 4. I'm glad they're using grade 4s for the upgraded form. It doesn't really matter now in your main deck if you have grade 4s, and I think it's a nice way to include just a thing in Vanguard that I feel like they're never really sure what to do with the concept of higher number grades. But yeah, no, in the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this episode. And oh yeah, Vanguard question of the week. V clan selection is finally out. Cards are here, you can get it. So my question to you is, what clan are you playing? Are you interested in V? You should be. V is healthy as fuck at the moment. I personally am going to continue with my Spectral Duke because Spectral Duke too damn good. But yeah, give me your thoughts about that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me for more as we see as our antagonist deals with our protagonist.